Resilient by Valerie Bell. Read by Rose Malik. Part 1. Forward. A lot has changed since we wrote Resilient. The ink was barely dry on the pages, and that new book smell was still fresh in the air when COVID-19 became a worldwide pandemic, halting our lives and shutting down churches from gathering in person all over the world. Rarely has the church faced a health crisis so massive, so impacting. How would churches survive? We asked the same question. How would we at Awana continue to reach and disciple the 5 million children we serve in 133 countries worldwide? Like many, at first, we were overwhelmed and driven to our knees. We prayed, again like many others. How, God? How do we minister and continue our mission now? As the COVID-19 pandemic continued to spread throughout the world, each area, including countries, states, counties, and even cities, experienced and handled COVID-19 differently. One size, one approach to ministry would not fit all. But, like you, we were determined. We were certain God was still at work. We knew God had not forgotten about his children. He had not given up. Neither could we. Ministering to children and youth in 2020 required more creativity, more determination, more resilience than ever before. We all needed to find new ways to love children who were living in a world turned upside down by disease. We prayed, how, God? How do we move forward? It was during these desperate times we began to sense God laying on our hearts this singular phrase, raise up the greatest generation of disciples. Over and over we sensed this. It increased our faith. It drove us not to give in or give up. In fact, it was during these times we realized God had already shown us how to be resilient. Prophetically, the plan on how to respond to a worldwide pandemic had already been laid out in a book we had just written. Resilient. Like you, as we lived and ministered through the year, we embodied resilience. We bent and flexed, but did not break under the weight of a terrible global pandemic. Side by side with you, we refused to be discouraged because we knew God had not abandoned us. We saw churches and ministries relentlessly adapt and innovate in order to keep reaching and discipling kids. We saw you, ministry leader, refuse to give up. We saw you, child disciple maker, carry the fire of Jesus and the truth of God's word through storms of uncertainty. We saw the church emerge resiliently. Within our ministry, we witnessed our local churches, as well as domestic and international teams, ingeniously pivot to engage children and families. This included taking kid-centered biblical content to the television airwaves throughout countries in Africa, creating national internet-facilitated children's ministries in Asia, enabling drive-through ministry in states here in the U.S., and so much more, just to keep a relational connection with children in a time of extreme relational isolation. Though COVID-19 may have prevented us from gathering together in person, it allowed us to represent Jesus in new ways, including meeting physical needs as our people helped churches throughout the world obtain and dispense ministry solutions and essential resources like food and water. Then, in March of 2021, our hearts broke when we learned that one of our resilient writing team members, Chris Marchand, who had since left Awana to pursue other ministry opportunities, suddenly passed away. He was 37 years old and was quite brilliant, in the process of finishing his PhD at the time he went home to the Lord. Chris not only gave us the resilient definition that became foundational to the concepts in this book, but also left behind a beautiful family. He is missed. Again, we found ourselves saddened and confused. Again, we hit our knees, and again we sensed God was with us, leading us to raise up the greatest generation of disciples through child and youth discipleship. Over and over we have heard it, in every situation we have faced. The church is not to get caught up or immobilized by the panic of the moment, but to keep looking to 2050 and to set our hearts and efforts to raising up a generation of resilient disciples, a generation like the world has never seen. And to this vision our hearts say, yes, Lord. Let's do this work together.